Those are what lies misrepresent by virtue of being false. Since bullshit not need be false, it differs from lies in its misrepresentational intent. The bullshitter may not deceive us or even intend to do so, either about the facts or what he takes the facts to be. What he does necessarily attempt to deceive us about is his enterprise. His only indispensably distinctive characteristic is that in a certain way, he misrepresents what he is up to. This is the crux of the distinction between him and the liar. Both him and the liar represent themselves falsely as endeavoring to communicate the truth. The success of each depends upon deceiving us about that. But the fact about himself that the liar hides is that he is attempting to lead us away from a correct apprehension of reality. We are not to know what he wants us to believe something he supposes to be false. The fact about himself that the bullshitter hides, on the other hand, is that the truth values of his statement are of no central interest to him. What we are not to understand is that his intention is neither to report the truth nor to conceal it. This does not mean that his speech is anarchistically impulsive, but that the motive guiding and controlling it is unconcerned with how the things about which he speaks truly are. Very interesting reading from Harry G. Frankfurt and his excellent volume on bullshit from the Princeton University Press. And as he talks about here, the difference between a liar and a bullshitter is that a liar is intentionally just trying to deceive you and that the liar cares that you believe the lie. The bullshitter just cares that you're distracted. Whether or not you believe the lie doesn't matter. So it's a difference in intent. It's an interesting little book. But hey, I didn't see you guys come in. You keep sneaking in here. I swear are you living inside this camera? I don't know. So this is our third time today of Bitcoin Talk Show. We're hoping by trying this show out in different time zones that we get other people get a chance to call in. So a lot of the time we learn from the same time zones or the same viewers over and over. But this time we wanted to give you in a later time zone the chance to call in live. So you can go ahead and call in live on Skype at World Crypto Network, all one word. I'm going to go full screen here. Oops, not the right full screen I wanted, but we're getting closer. And we're going to just go through a quick rundown of today's news. The price of Bitcoin was down 0.12% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 6,864, a high of 6,887, and a low of 6,656. Possible bottom, some signs of a recovery, or just another speed bump on the way down. No one knows. The price of $1 in Satoshis is 14,590, dangerously close to the 15,000 Satoshi barrier. When we started tracking Satoshis to dollars, it was around 22,000 Satoshis to a dollar. At its lowest, we saw it push and near the 5,000 Satoshi barrier. Once again, we are looking at the price. We had a major drop yesterday morning. Some in the media have tried to say it was because of the coin rail in South Korea, an exchange that was hacked. But as you all know, exchanges have been hacked before, and no one much seemed to care. Important at the bottom here, we have large volumes during this sell-off. A large amount of coins were sold quickly and at a low price. Zooming out, does look like some possible signs of a recovery, or could be a bull trap or a fake out. We are starting to see some of a pennant formation, and when it hits its decision point, it will go up or it will go down. Special thanks to everyone who donated to the Mad Bitcoin's desktop computer drive. We did it. I really can't believe it, but we did it. We lost 10% of the fundraiser yesterday, which was incredibly painful. But donor 0.0025 and especially donor 0.5 came through and saved the fundraiser. We can show you right here on the blockchain if you'd like to donate to the Mad Bitcoins desktop computer fundraiser drive, the very same desktop computer I used to launch this show. And I can tell you, I didn't have to plug anything in. It was fantastic. However, the price is going up and down. It's very possible that I sell these donations to cover the cost of the computer. No disrespect meant to the donors. Certainly, half a Bitcoin is probably half a house in the future. But right now, it's a new computer on a credit card. So it would be better to be paid off. But we all have to make our own decisions. And we're checking in on the chat. What's going on? Jeremy is there. Jeremy's been at all 3 shows today. I think he's following me around. Matt Smith wants to know where the viewers are. Well, you have to give us a thumbs up and a share. That will get more people to watch the show. What do I think of people's bets? I think it's dangerous when you take a bet on the news. It influences the way that you cover the news, and it might change your opinion on certain events in the news, especially if the bet is as large as $10,000, as they're saying in the chat. But everyone has to make their own decisions. If they want to take very large bets that put their objectivity into question, then really you're just buying their integrity at $10,000. Have you read We Are All Gods? I'm not familiar with that. I don't know if it's a poem or a book, but tell me more about it. I like to learn new things. Lie fart or life art? What is art but an illusion? Illupton. Nice spelling work there. I did read that article years ago that humans can understand sentences with typos in them. We get the context, even with the typos. So I've always thought, ever since then, why do I even need to fix my typos? Spoonman says, dude, he has the book on bullshit. I remember I bought it. I think the guy was on The Daily Show, maybe The Colbert Report, but I think The Daily Show. And it was good. It was nice. They say it would be funny if EOS never launched. Oh, I'm sure it's going to launch. They have a pretty complicated system, and it sounded like a lot of different parties could stand in the way of it being launched, and there was all kinds of, I don't know, kind of fake decentralization, fake distributedness that was slowing them down. But I'm sure they'll get it launched. There's too much money on the line. Although it was fascinating here that I think it was $100 million of the EOS launch was locked inside of my Ether wallet. As I don't know if you guys know, but with the EOS thing, you got ERC20 tokens. Then while they built the network or whatever it is, they would then trade your ERC20 tokens for their real EOS tokens. The downside to this, if you didn't trade them, I'm pretty sure you don't get them. I'm pretty sure those coins are now locked in my Ether wallet. But I bet those guys wish they could have $100 million, probably worth way more than their startup. But that money is probably lost and locked forever. So that's why it's so great when people donate their money to Mad Bitcoins, because I'm going to use it. So they say keep that 5 Bitcoin 0.5. It's retirement savings. Oh, you definitely we try to hold what we can, but sometimes you buy an expensive computer, and a computer's a great thing. It's like a hammer. It's a tool. It's something I'll use every day. So can't worry about that. Just got to spend the money sometimes. Yep. Rest in peace. The Daily Show. Jon Stewart was the man. Oh, it was an incredible show in its time. No offense to the new guy. He just doesn't have it. He doesn't have the right character that I'm looking for personally. And it was sad to see them lose so much talent in John Oliver and Samantha Bee, and of course, Stephen Colbert. If they could have held on to those guys, boy, they could have kept the show going. But in many ways, The Daily Show is going on all of those other networks. Does sound like we're getting some context on Skype. Remember, I do have to add you on Skype, so go ahead and add World Crypto Network, all one word, and then I'll accept you, and then you can give us a call and let us know about Bitcoin. Who sucks, the Daily Show or Sam B? It's okay if you're a conservative and you don't like the liberal comedians that I like. That's fine too. I understand your position. We are available on Skype at World Crypto Network, all one word. In some ways, yeah, I thought John Oliver might have taken it over too, but maybe it's not the Tonight Show. Maybe the lesson of the Jay Leno, Conan O'Brien thing is that no job is worth that. Take the best available job. And for John Oliver working at HBO, where he can say the F word and where he only has to work half the year and where he doesn't have to do commercials or worry about sponsors, probably frees him up a lot. That's probably a really great gig for John Oliver. I can't deny that. So, and again, we get to enjoy his show. And yeah, even if you think it's propaganda, I do like the jokes. I do think it's fun to watch the news joke show. And I wish they were able to make a good conservative version of the news joke show. I watched several tries that they made, and none of them were quite as good as the Daily Show. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, this is John Ruggieri from Atlanta, aka FreeGenX. Just calling to open up maybe with a topic tonight. What do you say?
That sounds great. What's on your mind, John?
We have the grand opening of the Atlanta Bitcoin embassy on Wednesday.
That sounds great. What can people do at the Bitcoin embassy?
Well, it's caused a little controversy in the Atlanta Bitcoin scene in that it's largely sponsored by Bitcoin.com, which is great. I appreciate everything Roger's done for the history of Bitcoin, but you know, the feeling when you walk in is there's an elephant in the room and nobody wants to talk about which one is Bitcoin because of how it was funded to begin with. So it's a little bit uncomfortable when you go in there, just which Bitcoin you're learning about if you come in as a new person. So
that is the question, and how you teach the new people. If you teach them that Bitcoin Cash is a spinoff, or if you just teach them that Bitcoin Cash is the Bitcoin, I think it makes a big difference. It's tough what's happened to our community. I know we have a similar thing here in Las Vegas. You know how meetup.com, basically they have this racket. You have to pay Meetup a monthly fee to maintain your meetups, right? And eventually everyone runs out of time for meetups and they stop paying their monthly fee, and someone else can come along and take over the meetup. And the Las Vegas Bitcoin meetup here has been taken over by Bitcoin Cash people. And whether you like it or not, they're doing little seminars where they teach people how to use Bitcoin Cash in their hardware wallet. And they clearly have a focus on Bitcoin Cash. And yeah, I don't really like it as a Bitcoiner myself. I don't think it's that great.
yeah, I mean, Jeffrey Tucker is running it, and he's great. And there's a lot of OG Bitcoiners here in Atlanta, and it's just, it's all good. Everyone's allowed to have their coin until you start teaching a brand new person that's never known anything about Bitcoin that Bitcoin is Bitcoin Cash. And so I don't mind there being two, and I don't want to participate in the debate, but it's a little frustrating when, somebody that I know for a long time says, "Oh, I went and bought, my first Bitcoin at the Bitcoin embassy, and it was only $1,000 for a Bitcoin." And then I have to explain to them that they don't have Bitcoin.
Oh no. And that's practically fraud. And that's what's so disappointing about this is if you want to say you want bigger blocks, or you disagree with how the core team ran Bitcoin or whatever, some kind of political or philosophical disagreement, that's fine. But when they take the name and then they confuse new people with the name, the whole thing just gets murky, because even if you had the best of intentions, you believe in bigger blocks, you just you believe in them, you're tricking people. And there's nothing good about fooling and tricking people. Say what you will about Ethereum. At least Ethereum never said specifically that it was indeed Bitcoin. They said it was the next Bitcoin or the better Bitcoin, or those kind of things, but they never said that it was actually the Bitcoin. So it's disappointing to have that deception.
Unfortunate thing is we have a long running Bitcoin meetup that's always had a following, even with the rise of the rhetoric of it's not really Bitcoin that's the magic, it's blockchain, right? Even with the blockchain meetup becoming really big in town, we still had a Bitcoin meetup. We had regular following, and we actually had support, like long running support from Bitcoin.com that would sponsor the meetups, and they wouldn't hold us to like promoting Bitcoin Cash. They had been sponsoring the meetups for years, and they continued to do that. Well, now that the embassy is opening, there's no more support from Bitcoin.com for the traditional Bitcoin meetup in Atlanta. So that's kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. You'd think maybe they could host the meetup there, but even then, it's this confusion. You don't want to be involved with a group that's spreading this confusion.
Yeah, so there's essentially now there's in a very, very pro cryptocurrency and pro Bitcoin town. Atlanta is like the biggest crypto town in the Southeast, I would say. There's now there has to be two camps. So there's the Bitcoin meetup that's talking about BTC as Bitcoin, and then there's the Bitcoin embassy that's talking about BCH as Bitcoin. So
What I think is interesting about this is it makes a big difference if you're paid and who you're paid by, right? Like we know that the Bitcoin Cash embassy is going to last just as long as they pay. Once they stop paying for the Bitcoin Cash embassy, I don't think that we're going to see a lot of Bitcoin Cash meetups and a lot of things going forward unless they pay the organizers. On the other side, you have this ridiculous Bitcoin thing. Satoshi launches it on the internet. No one's specifically assigned to work on it or to use it or to promote it. But people, they like it. They get this good feeling about Bitcoin and they want to promote it on their own, and they sacrifice their own time, and maybe they should be getting jobs or doing other things, but they keep promoting this Bitcoin because they believe in it. And I think it matters a lot if you're paid and who you're paid by. So keep that in mind.
absolutely, and by the way, this time slot uh, for the East Coast crowd is like really good for in participating in the live show. So thanks for doing this time slot.
Well, thanks so much for calling in, John. Yeah, we're gonna give it a try. The only problem is I want to chill out and watch TV during this time slot, so
Do what you
I
have to do.
have the
Save
same
your show.
experience that others do. So, but uh, but yeah, we'll try to keep it up and we'll keep it going. But thanks, John. It's interesting what's going on in Atlanta. We'll open that up to the other callers, see if they have a similar situation in their town, or maybe they just don't have any Bitcoiners at all, or what's going on in other cities. Because it's interesting to find out, because you never really know unless you go.
Yes, sir. We'll keep up the BTC fundamentalists, the true Bitcoiners in Atlanta. We won't let it go to the wayside for sure.
It's funny how quickly we became crusaders in our own movement. we are
That
we are
happens,
cut off.
right? You can't complain about decentralization when you were saying that's what you wanted. So
Absolutely, absolutely.
we'll talk to you later. Thanks.
Cool. Thanks so much, John. Yeah, give us a call anytime. And if you're out there and you'd like to give us a call on Skype, you can call us now at all one word World Crypto Network. And they're saying in the chat that XRP is the true Bitcoin. And can you buy Bitcoin from people in cash? Yeah, you can do local Bitcoins for cash. I think they do KYC now. They do check you in, and you're likely going to have to pay for your taxes and other things, even if you buy them from local Bitcoins. But you can get them from cash. You could also meet people at Bitcoin meetups, go to Bitcoin ATMs on the street. There's a lot of ways to get Bitcoin. They say Ripple is the true Bitcoin. That seems very unlikely. Jeremy Sager is saying Coinbase announced they're going to add Ethereum Classic to their exchange. I don't have a confirmation on this, but it seems very possible. Ethereum Classic's been a very confusing project from the beginning, as it is the original chain of Ethereum, but then it was kind of adopted by Barry Silbert and some others who have really blown it up into a full-blown Ethereum copy of sorts. But once again, it's like Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. Do the people who work on Ethereum Classic work on it because they love it, or because they're paid to work on it? Whereas, say what you will about the Ethereum people, they do seem to love their project, or maybe they just love making money. I don't know, but they have passion. I've never met an Ethereum Classic supporter other than just Bitcoiners who like the idea of being critical of them for jumping chains. But we're just being critical for fun. They think Ethereum is way overvalued. It's shown to fail at its main goal. I used to think that kind of thing too, but apparently that doesn't matter. It's more about the hype. They just have to keep the hype machine going and it'll be fine. Spoonman bought a Bitcoin on local Bitcoins. He did cash through the mail. That sounds risky to me, but it went well for Spoonman. He says, yeah, XRP could multiply by a lot. Oh, it already did, though. It used to be at less than a penny. Now it's at $1 or $2. It's crazy. But Bitcoin ATMs have a 5 to 7% fee. That's very true. Previously, you used to be able to buy some degree of anonymity from a Bitcoin ATM, but now probably not so much. And you might just want to meet people at a Bitcoin meetup or meet people near the ATM. I've heard a story about a Bitcoin ATM that suddenly had a drop in usage. And they tried to figure out why. And they figured out there's this guy sitting there in the cafe. And whenever anyone would try to use the ATM, he would just come up and undercut the ATM's price. I'm not sure how they got rid of him, but I think they asked him to leave. Non-theist capitalist says, if Bitcoin goes below 3,300, I will buy 1 Bitcoin for each of my 3 siblings. That's a very nice gift. Very nice. Anyone have the full Ethereum chain downloaded? I'm not even sure it's possible anymore. It used to take a week or a few weeks to synchronize your old-timey Bitcoin or Ethereum core wallets, the original classic ones. But now I don't even know if you could do it. I'd hate to do it. It filled my laptop hard drive right up. Selling EOS versus Ethereum in 6 months. It'll be interesting to see how it compares. I remember one of the things about that EOS project is that they hold a lot of Ethereum. And just like the ICOs, they hold a lot of Ethereum. So if they're going to have to cash out and show someone that they actually raised $4 billion cash, they're going to have to sell a lot of Ethereum. Maybe a lot of EOS too. I don't know. I've heard all kinds of things about EOS being controlled by the top 10 or the top 30 holders. Seems pretty questionable. But then again, everything seems to go up in value in this insane market. Aaron asks, Thomas, do you think this bear market will be like the 2014-15 one? I sure hope not. I don't think so. I mean, I think that was truly a market of despair. People had lost all hope. People were selling their Bitcoin as soon as they got them. I tried to hold on to my salary a couple of times, and each time I lost money. and it really sucks when you lose money on your salary. But it just lasted so long. It feels like the price now is much more fluid. We've already seen 5,000, really, after the 20,000 pump. We went to 5,000, then we went back to 10,000. Now we're back at around 7,000. So it does seem like it takes, it's a lot faster. Mossy agrees with me. He says, every boom and bust cycle in crypto seems to take less time as time goes on. But I can say this one does feel more stressful because maybe instead of winning or losing tens of $1,000s, maybe you're winning or losing hundreds of $1,000s. And it sucks to lose that much money. But once again, your Bitcoins are still worth the value of your Bitcoins. If you believed in them at the beginning of the year, there's no reason not to believe in them now. The algorithm is solid. This code hasn't been hacked. The wallets still work. But we do have a lot less spending money. The runway, as they say, is getting shorter. But if you'd like to give us a call, you can give us a call at World Crypto Network, all one word on Skype. I'll try to keep this open for a little bit longer, but if we're not getting calls, we might just have to close it off. Did have a couple more books here to read. Let's see if we have another book. And if you have another question in the chat, just go ahead and hit us with a question in the chat. This book is called The Medium is the Massage by Marshall McLuhan, and it was actually much more interesting than I thought it would be. Considering it's from the 70s, it's an older book. The guy says, watch my channel. Good luck with that one. So, book says, the title, Your Job. When this circuit learns your job, what are you going to do? Jobs represent a relatively recent pattern of work. From the 15th century to the 20th century, there is a steady progress of fragmentation of the stages of work that constitute mechanization and specialism. These procedures cannot serve for survival or sanity in this new time. Under conditions of electric circuitry, all the fragmented job patterns tend to blend once more into involving and demanding roles of forms of work that more and more resemble teaching, learning, and human service in the older sense of dedicated loyalty. Unhappily, many well intentioned political reform programs that aim at the alleviation of suffering caused by unemployment betray an ignorance of the true nature of the media influence. "Come to my parlor," said the computer to the specialist. Very interesting section here. McLuhan is talking about a circuit that could learn your job. And he's talking about this in the 70s. Now we know that most human jobs are going to be done by robots, even creative jobs like screenwriting and creative writing, sports writing, other things like that. The machines are learning all of those jobs and they're getting very good at them. As McLuhan jokes at the end, "Come into my parlor," the computer said to the specialist. The computer is polling us. The computer is learning from us the last things that it can't learn on its own. That's the value of us. It's a bit like when they have an American person teach his Chinese replacement how to do his job. You're giving the company all that you had, and they're taking it. So, in the same way, the robots, sadly, and I'm not a fan of this, I'm not advocating it, but they will take all our jobs. It really doesn't matter if you care or not. So let's see what else the guys are talking about here in the chat. How has BCH versus Bitcoin's price changed relatively in terms of percentage in the past 2 months, since we've seen even more effort from BCH's marketing efforts? And I can't exactly say just off the top of my head. I think the price of Bcash is around $1,000. The price of Bitcoin is around $7,000. So if we said it was at a 1 to 7 ratio, I would say that's still actually down. I think it was at more of a 1 to 10 ratio previously. So I'm not sure that's getting better. They did have a lot of marketing efforts and all that. But remember, Bitcoin doesn't have any marketing efforts at all, and yet it still keeps coming back. So they say they're surprised there wasn't a high quality app released for EOS that made it easy to trust if you wanted to join the launch vote. I'm not surprised. But then again, I saw Ethereum launch with only a countdown timer. You had to judge based upon the quality of that landing page and the quality of that countdown timer that they would make a good project. Yeah, it turned out they did, at least for now. So, E3 2018, Bitcoin versus Bitcoin Cash. Once again, I fear that our side will be largely unarmed. We used to be able to count on companies like BitPay and Coinbase for carrying the Bitcoin banner, but not so much anymore. Like John was saying about his Atlanta meetup, we used to have a San Francisco Bitcoin meetup that was sponsored by Coinbase, and they were great. They gave us money for years and they never asked for anything. We even offered to give out their merch or to have them speak or talk about their company, and they weren't even that into it. And then at one point, they just kind of dropped off and they stopped sponsoring the meetup. And, that's cool. That's their decision and everything. But I just wish these big companies and especially these big individuals would give back to the community. To see someone like Roger Ver so dedicated to his Bitcoin Cash that he's willing to spend hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of dollars on Bitcoin.com to create a news website to support Bitcoin Cash, on these Bitcoin Cash embassies that we're now hearing about in Atlanta. Oh, we hear all of this. We wonder, where are the Bitcoin millionaires? Where are the other millionaires that disagree with Roger? What are they doing with their funds? I think they're just sitting on them like Smog, the dragon that hoarded gold. And eventually, I'm not sure that Smog had any joy in his life because all he did is hoard over his gold. And the gold, you know how your possessions, they end up possessing you. I think Smog found that to be incredibly true. So they're saying Let's see. Skycoin, never heard of it. I've heard of Sky, the television network. Jeremy says EO stands for extremely obvious scam. But once again, if you bought early and you're selling now, you made money. So, you made money off a scam. Good work. But still, yeah, the fundamentals are very questionable. He figured out that he bought from a good seller, but still money in envelope is risky. Yeah, it is risky to definitely send your money off in an envelopes. They're asking if I've read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I don't know that book. I haven't read it. It sounds interesting. Floyd's not worried about putting your private keys to vote. And EOS bet, extra account for testing. What is art but hot air with its own distinct flavor? I don't know. I talked to a friend of mine recently. He's a pretty major artist. He was a dancer in a show. And I know that sounds silly, but no, he's actually a professional dancer. It's a serious show. And we talked about modern art, and I always felt that some modern art was just a trick on rich people. And you had kind of a color wheel on the wall, or you had a mirror, or you hung up a white piece of cloth on a white wall. And I was like, oh, you kind of just fooled people into thinking that that had value. But what my friend explained is that someone he worked for, another artist, had said that it's because of the great piece of our time that he's able to do such meaningless art. And he talked about how this great piece in another time, the kind of wasteful, not even not even beautiful art, but kind of strange art that this person did would have been so to put him in the military, and if he fell out of the military, they would have shot him. I mean, you have to go to war, you have to go to work. There isn't a time or attention span. There isn't anything left for that kind of art. But because of our great peace, we had that. So I hope we keep having this great peace and we keep having this great art. But you know how it is; it's not going to last forever. So they say Rich Dad Poor Dad's a must read. Sounds like a good book. They're talking about fusion and EOS airdrops. It's going to rain money. Spoonman checked out my epic museum and art gallery tweets. I had a great trip to Europe. I was able to stay with a lot of viewers of this show. They put me up on their couches. It was incredibly nice of them. And I got to go to all the musical, or sorry, all the museums in Europe, except not all of them because there's still tons more. If you want to check out on the Mad Bitcoins channel, I did make videos from most of the places I visited. There's still a few more that I need to make. But you can check those out. They're short little videos about my travels on Mad Bitcoins, the YouTube channel. Here we go. Jonathan's got the number. BCH is down 27%. BTC is down 23%. Not a huge difference. BTC is holding its value slightly better despite having zero marketing and despite Ver's efforts. And that's one of the great things about this. And I don't mind being on the underdog side. I know that David killed Goliath. I also know that he wasn't the underdog because a sling is like a sling is like a gun practically, and a sword is a close range weapon. So Goliath had no chance. But it is kind of funny to see Roger and presumably Jihan and all these other people put so much money into Bcash and so much money into marketing it and Bitcoin.com and all these other sites they're doing. And he's paying people to tweet and he's tipping people in Bcash, and they're making Twitter copies and blogger services and all these things that no one's going to use unless you pay them. And all these things that no one's going to write, no one's going to promote, and none of these things unless you pay them. Roger has to go back to the Revolutionary War argument. Roger has an army of Hessians, right? He has an army of Germans working for the British, taking their money, and they don't really care about the war. They got drunk on Christmas, and Washington went over the Delaware and raided them, and he kicked their butt because Washington and his boys, well, they're a lot more like the real Bitcoiners. They're not paid. They're not paid by anybody. Even the OG Bitcoiners don't seem to want to pay the other Bitcoiners to do the work of carrying the water of Bitcoin. Everyone just sucks it up and does it on their own because they know the value of carrying the water on Bitcoin is that we get a better world. We get a world where people are the unbanked are banked, the governments can't borrow money to make weapons, and we have to deal with the consequences of that. And maybe it's a great thing. Maybe it's a panacea. The libertarians are going to get to find out. We're going to do a test on their ideas and their equipment. We don't have a choice. Force test. But these others, these Hessians, they don't have anything to fight for. They're just armed and hired guns. They're going to fight just as long as they want to fight and as long as they're paid. And when the money runs out, they'll stop. So you know exactly how long they're going to fight. They're going to fight till the money's gone. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Oh, people are excited. I read their comment. Well, we're not exactly getting a lot of phone calls right now, but the chat is good. We have a good chat going. Nas party in LBC. Come through, Thomas. Bought the gain with tank with Bitcoin gains. Where's LBC? Long Beach, Compton? I don't know. So much drama in the LBC. It's kind of hard being Snoop D-O double G. Any opinion about Knowles? I hate to be a broken record, but I just don't know what your new altcoin is. I know that null usually means zero or absence or empty set null. GitHub is now Gates Hub. I saw that. A lot of people are moving off of GitHub. They're worried about what Bill Gates and the Microsoft guys are going to do with it. But remember, they did good stuff with Minecraft. Minecraft is still alive, and Skype technically still works. Look, it's working right now. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
But remember, they did good stuff with Minecraft. Minecraft is still alive in Skype.
Oh, it looks like it's an echo. Can you hear us? Almost. Well, we had it for a second there, but he might have had to mute the microphone to get rid of the speaker. Remember, when you call in, you have to either turn the speaker down or have headphones, stuff like that. So still seems like we can't hear you. Just give us a call back when you get this sorted out. We will try to keep the lines open at least for 15 more minutes. He says, bro, he hit Goliath right between the eyes. I don't think it was a lucky shot, though. Hello, can you hear us?
I can hear you now, Thomas. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Excited to be there. Richard, I'm calling from a suburb of Seattle where the poor people live.
All right. Oh, well, not for long if you've got some Bitcoin, although it looks like we're going the wrong way. But what are your thoughts out there in Seattle about Bitcoin today?
I'm curious a little bit. I've had Bitcoin for quite some time now, and I do like to try to spend it to kind of support the whole thing. But with all the forks and the Bitcoin diamond or wherever we're at in that process now, I get a little nervous to spend some of my older ones. So how do I learn how to deal with these forks, or at least get them or cash them out or do something?
Sure. Well, I only know about a couple of them, the ones that are added on the Trezor, which is a Bitcoin Cash. I guess Bitcoin Gold might have been added. I'm not sure, but mainly it's the Bcash that you're going to want to split off because it's actually become really valuable recently. The main thing to do, first of all, is just to send your Bitcoin from one address to another address. Once you've done this, you've separated your Bitcoin from your Bitcoin Cash. So no matter what goes wrong with the attempt to split it, your Bitcoin will be in a new safe wallet, right? So that's the first thing to do. So if you have a ledger, maybe buy a second ledger, move your money over.
Everybody's sick. I don't have any idea what you're talking about. That's the trouble with a lot of this. Sure. I want really badly to understand.
Okay, but let me give you one more try. Imagine if we had a key to a padlock, right? And then that's your Bitcoin. And we made a copy of the whole chain, and that's your Bitcoin Cash. And both of these keys work on both chains, right? So what you've got to do before you even try to get your Bitcoin Cash from the other chain is to move your Bitcoin to a safer key.
Okay, so let's say now I've had, I moved off of the exchanges, but I moved it onto a keep key, most of my stuff, and now I'm like terrified to move it anywhere.
Okay, well, the main thing is for right now, the exchanges are the ones who hold your Bitcoin Cash or whatever other forks you're going to get. So you're kind of in their mercy if they were holding your keys at the time of the split. At the time of the split, that's like when they make the copies of all the keys. And if you don't hold your own keys at that time, you can't make the same kind of decisions with you. Coinbase or whoever has your money makes those decisions for you.
Huh. So if I was still too nervous to do any of those things, do we go to a local Bitcoin meetup, or what would you suggest for some guy who's, I'm super interested in it. I've read the white paper and I've tried my best to understand it, but I'm just not there. Like, I'm not willing to make those moves.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that, I just agree with you. I don't think that the gain that you're going to make on Bitcoin Cash is worth the potential of losing your money. I know Andy Hoffman was talking about a guy who's going after his Bitcoin Diamond winnings, and they were around $3,000, which is a lot of money. But I think the guy probably had $300,000 worth of Bitcoin, which is a lot more money. And even though I do think I'm describing it pretty easily on these keys, if you make a mistake and you give the person your key that has both your Bitcoin and your Bitcoin Cash on it, it's the same number string, it's the same key, they could just steal it both. They'll steal both of them. Additionally, I mean, at a meetup and stuff, the same kind of thing. I want you to trust people and I want everyone to feel good at meetups. But at the same time, I don't want you to give your private keys to anyone that you meet at a meetup. I just don't want that to happen. So, you know,
well, hey,
so yeah, I would say you're fine holding it for
long
now
enough
to
to
start
laugh
with.
about all these losses. You know, I feel bad for people who got hurt on this last deal, but yeah, it's great stuff. I love it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and there's I mean, basically, just in the future forks, if you're holding it in your own private wallet, like a Ledger or a Keep Key or Trezor, you hold the keys. You can then just move your money to a different account, and then you can use those keys to get into the other chains. It's all the same key, you know. It's all the same thing.
Hey, thanks a
Because
lot,
they just.
Thomas. I appreciate it.
Well,
Great
thanks so
stuff.
much for the call. All right, give us a call anytime.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye. And you can give us a call right now on Skype, World Crypto Network, all one word. We're in the late night time zone here, the long requested late night time zone. And we're talking about Bitcoin keys and Bitcoin Cash and claiming your forked coins. And just as a warning, I think we want to say sometimes it's not worth it. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Thomas, good to speak with you this evening. It is I, the Crypto Mystic. How are you?
Doing good, man. Do you have a prediction for us today, or what's the crystal ball got in store?
Finally been able to summon the power to communicate with you this evening. Let me tell you, I had one hell of a night.
Drinking a lot, huh? Into the absinthe?
Oh, we have much stronger drinks here in the Nether Realm.
I was wondering when I was going to get my own whack pack, but I guess this is it.
Yes. I may have dipped into the late night sauce, but I want to assure you, Bitcoin is doing well.
So we're going to be fine. We're going to get through this downturn. We're going to survive.
Everyone will have their wildest dreams come true.
Well, what if your wildest dreams are 2 women at one time? You think that'll come true?
Bitcoin can make it possible.
Oh, even your wildest dreams. That's amazing. What if you want 2 Lambos tied together?
Time you see him, I'm coming for you.
All right. Thanks so much, Cryptic Mystic. Good stuff, man.
I appreciate it, Thomas. And a huge shout out to you and the World Crypto Network for everything you do. We are appreciative.
Well, thanks so much. Thanks so much. And give us a call anytime.
When my power has grown strong enough, you will hear from me again.
Thanks so much, Crypto Mystic. You can give us a call right now on a Bitcoin talk show. It's a World Crypto Network, all one word on Skype. They are following up in the chat about the Ethereum Classic news for Coinbase. Sounds like it's confirmed. Sound like they are going to add Ethereum Classic to Coinbase. And you know what that means. Ethereum Classic's going to get pumped. And you know what that means. Somebody about Coinbase probably knew about it beforehand, and they probably bought it before the news came out. And you know what that means. It's going to show up on the charts, and we're going to be able to see it just like last time, unless Coinbase kept a secret this time. A lot of pressure, Coinbase. You got to keep those secrets. But we are looking at the live price of Bitcoin. It's $6,858. We just had a call from Crypto Mystic all the way from the netherworld. And he says that Bitcoin is going to be fine. Kind of reminds me of the old Howard Stern. He used to have like a weather girl from hell or something. And she'd be like, oh, what's the weather like in hell? And she'd say, oh, it's cold. It's cold. I don't know. But this is Bitcoin Talk Show After Dark. You can give us a call right now on Skype at World Crypto Network, all one word, or we might be reaching the end of this show. Remember, the price is down, but our spirits are up because donors are donating to the Mad Bitcoins fundraiser. Somewhere here it is, right here, including donor 0.5, who really supported the show and bought me a new computer. Bam! I'm using it right now. It's amazing. And if you'd like to donate to the show, to support the show, you don't have to donate a whole 0.5. You could just donate a $10 or $20. It's no big deal. And if you want to subscribe monthly, we have the World Crypto Network Patreon on patreon.com. And to support just me personally, so we have the Mad Bitcoins Patreon. Both of these Patreons combined raise around $500 a month. So we are just scraping by, as they say, just scraping by. Jeremy says the last caller should have his own WCN show. They want to know if I'm down for a Bitcoin bet on the World Cup. It's hard to find anybody to bet on. The United States are not in the World Cup. Not that I think we'd win. And also the Netherlands, my other favorite country, are not in the World Cup this year. It's very strange. I think Italy might be out too. Plus, I don't know that the U.S. wanted to go to Russia anyway. I guess it's in Russia. Maybe it's in Qatar. I heard the Qatar one, they were supposed to have flying helicopter platforms that would be like sunshades. I thought it was a little ridiculous when they announced it, and still seems ridiculous now, but anything they can do to cool that space down. Spain is a strong pick. Good soccer team, Spain. I would keep an eye out for Brazil. I think they're aging, but they got really punished last time at the hands of Germany. They might want some comebacks. And then, oops, I forgot about Germany. Dominant last year. Incredible strikers. I think Muller, the defenseman, scored several goals. Great performance by Germany, beating the heck out of Brazil last time. Very shocking. Brazil is a classically good team. Other people in the chat are supporting Spain. The Spain is spreading. They want a special WCN Halloween special, and we'll definitely get the Crypto Mystic guy back for that. I get the feeling he'll show up anytime we do a Bitcoin talk show after dark. Rand says he only watches girls soccer. Oh, so Qatar is 2022. This must be the Russian one. So we'll have to hold out for Qatar. Remember Qatar, they sold it to them and they bought it. I don't know. There's a lot of fun insider action on the old soccer World Cup thing. For a period there, you could just bribe the guys and get your own World Cup. USA should have tried that. Although we did have it not too long ago. They've got Chile, Holland, Italy, and the USA are all out. Chile is a really good team too. I'm surprised to see that. We've got support for Argentina. That's a good soccer team. Latin American players are really good at soccer. They really they value it. It's not like here we have football or basketball, kind of the #1 sports. Soccer a distant 4th or 5th. In those countries, they really care about soccer. Wait till FIFA adopts Bitcoin. Yeah, that'll clean it all up. I don't know. FIFA is so dirty. It'd be very tough to get them cleaned up. Uruguay. All right, everybody's supporting a Latin American country today, or a South American country. Very cool stuff. Say Brock knows about Spain, but it is 8:28. We are nearing the 8:30 mark, where we might be ending the show. Just a shout out again to Philippe for his great graphic, a nightmare on Wall Street. I was checking out his website and I saw he had a few Mad Bitcoins arts that I'd never seen, and that surprised me because I'm Mad Bitcoins. Once again, if you want to be a co-host on the World Crypto Network, DM your email to Mad Bitcoins on Twitter and join the Slack. That's right. Just send your email. You don't have to ask me a question. Just send the email and be a part of live Bitcoin videos and help create the future today. I want to show the QR code one more time if you'd like to donate to this show. And we do have the Patreons on World Crypto Network, WCN, and Mad Bitcoins. Special gift for those of you willing to watch this entire show. I was going to go ahead and read another small section from my novella, which is entitled To Satoshi with Love. And we just discovered that this pink alien is claiming to be Satoshi Nakamoto. So here's just a little bit more and then we'll end the show. Gonna go ahead and turn off the phone lines. Sorry about that, phone lines. Satoshi Nakamoto, the inventor of Bitcoin? Ah, so you've heard of me and my work, he said, puffing out his chest just a little. Sure, I've heard of Satoshi. Everybody's heard of Satoshi. Most people think he's Nick Szabo, though, or Craig Wright, I said, chuckling. Craig Wright's claim to the throne had been fraught with difficulties, including a lack of proof that made him look like a 2-bit con man. See how it says like? I know you haven't, and this is a star, so it's down below. It says, I know you haven't heard of Satoshi, Wright, or Szabo, dear reader. That's why I'm here to keep you informed while not interrupting the flow of the narrative. Satoshi is the mystical creator of Bitcoin. Nobody knows who she or he is, or if he's a team. Nick Szabo is an epic cryptographer well known in cypherpunk circles, whose work was used, but mysteriously not cited by Satoshi in the Bitcoin white paper. Still, he claims not to be Satoshi, even though I personally asked him about it in Miami. I thanked him for inventing Bitcoin, and while he denied having any involvement in that project, there was just a little bit of a twinkle in his eye and a smile on his face. But that could have been that I was pouring him another glass of whiskey at the small party in my hotel room. I don't know who those other two are, but I'm impressed you've heard of my work. It's only been 7 years. Are you using Bitcoin daily? It's actually been 8 years, and no, we're not using it daily. I laughed again, realizing the irony. Actually, I'm about to launch my own coin. What? Why? It's a token for my friend's MechWarrior game. It lets you buy and sell items within the game and can be traded externally on a market that will determine its value based upon the popularity of the game. Why do you need to do that? Why not just use Bitcoin? He actually seemed a little hurt. This way, we get to control the supply and print as many as we want. If any sell on the external market, it's like an investment in us. Satoshi clearly didn't like this and had abandoned his chair and was now pacing the room, his coffee just a prop in his hand. Well, that's your coin, and I guess you can do what you want. That's not the way I did it with Bitcoin, though, I can tell you. 21 million units all the way, none more, none less. He stopped his pacing. You're taking this all very well, by the way. Taking what? I had a brief flashback to Cartman Gets an Anal Probe and realized this alien encounter could end far differently from how it started. That I'm Satoshi, that I'm an alien and I invented Bitcoin. Well, fortunately, I have smoked a lot of weed, so I'm not sure if this is my first alien encounter, although I don't remember any of the other ones. Seems pretty real, he said, extending his hand. My name is Satoshi Nakamoto, and I have come to help. I'm John Front, he said. Pleased to meet you. And that's a short reading from my novella that I'm trying to get maybe published on the Kindle. Maybe sell it for like $5 or something like that. Just a fun little story. Not the greatest story in all of English language, but a fun little story nonetheless. Thanks so much to everybody for watching. We'll be back tomorrow with another episode of Bitcoin Talk Show and some more exciting programs here on the World Crypto Network. Be sure to give us a thumbs up and a share. Subscribe down below. Set that bell, and you'll get notifications when we go live on the air. Follow Mad Bitcoins on Twitter. Until next time, bye-bye.